My name is Jonathan Gillum.
And this is The Experts.
We made it. And there's something going wrong with my mic. There it goes. I don't know what was going on there for a minute, folks. That was some nasty static we had there when I started the show. Again, you know, I do all my tests, I get everything ready, but once we click go live, you can never tell what's going to happen. This is, I don't know. We do this, I've been doing this every night for a year, but it's still kind of making it up every day because we're not a network, so it's hard to kind of get what's going to happen. Anyway, forget about all this stuff. Listen, we're moving forward. Here's what I want to concentrate on tonight, folks. I want you all to think about this whole situation with President Trump and the actions that Mueller is taking. The fact that Christopher Wray is now in the FBI, Rosenstein is the acting attorney general, and Comey is still lurking in the distance. We're going to talk about this and some other stuff. Let's go ahead and get started, though. So sorry about that. You know, when I get started and I have a technical issue like that, why do I look like I'm falling down here? It kind of sets. It's kind of a weird tone it sets for. Are we gonna, you know, are we gonna have more problems? Am I gonna get this going? So it looks like we're getting it going, but for some reason I don't know if my chair shrunk down. I got to get a new chair. Oh, there it goes. That's what it was. This chair it's got like a mind of its own. It's like Rico's getting older. All he wants to do is lay down. And this chair is getting older. And by the end of the show, I'm like a foot shorter than I was when I started the show. So it's a great show today as I hosted the David Webb Show and then was on with Rick Unger, of course, as I always do on my on Thursdays when we go and join Sean Hannity. Everybody let me know if they're hearing me okay. For some reason, my headset seems muffled. Give me a thumbs up if you're hearing. With these, I don't know if there's more technical difficulties going on here. I guess maybe that'd be good if I... All right, let's try this. There you go. All right. All right, sounds like everybody's hearing me okay. All right, so great show today on when I hosted for David Webb on SiriusXM Patriot Channel 125. And then also when I went on with Hannity. And I've got to be honest with you. I was very shocked and very proud of Sean Hannity because he went after McMaster. And I feel exactly like he does and like most people do about General McMaster. I was shocked to find out. I didn't even know this. Again, when I'm looking and doing my research for this show and for other shows that I'm doing, it's easy to miss something because you get focused on this other stuff. But McMaster has given Susan Rice her full access. For what reason, first of all, does Susan Rice need access to anything? And secondly, is he not aware? I mean, we know that he is aware of these unmaskings and all this stuff that Susan Rice was mixed up in. Listen, when you leave government service, so all the people that are here that are watching that have been in the government before, when you leave government service, they take away your clearance just like they take away your gun. Now, for a certain period of time, if you have a job, you'll have the ability to, like, let's say, whatever job you get read into, like if you get another job somewhere as a contractor, you will be able to, for I think it's 5 years, as long as you've been polygraphed, your polygraph lasts for 5 years, you won't have to be re-polygraphed. That's if you don't go in the agency. They love to polygraph there. But by and large, your polygraph will last you for 5 years, and then you reapply for your clearance to be reactivated. I don't know exactly how it is done because I've never had to do that. But I cannot, for the life of me, understand, one, why they don't do the same thing for political appointees, because by and large, political appointees never go through a boot camp or an academy to prove that they understand the oath of office that they're taking. They never have to suffer for that. They are simply appointed by whatever president puts them in there. And so we're just taking their word for it that they're going to support and defend the Constitution and protect this information that they're being granted access to, which we see is not the case. And why would McMaster, who, you got to think about this, folks, General McMaster is in charge of the National Security Council, okay? National security. Those are the words that are in the beginning of that, right? Why would he turn around and give somebody like Susan Rice, who has proved that she is a national security hazard, why would he give her her clearance back and allow her access to any of this stuff? This is so obvious. It reminds me of, and I know there's probably Masons on here. I don't want to get into these secret society things. I have my own opinions on that stuff. But I do know for a fact that when, Masons are attorneys and they go in and somewhere and there's a judge that's a Mason and they know it, they're going to get preferential treatment. I'm starting to wonder if this whole deep state nonsense, or not nonsense, but stuff that we're hearing about, is there some kind of weird, I know this sounds conspiratorial and I'm going into Alex Jones world here, but I have to look at this and say, is there some kind of society that these people belong to that we are not privy to? I mean, I know I've speculated on this before, but this is very, very suspicious to me. You know, Hillary Clinton goes before somebody's saying no. I don't know what you're saying no about, but Hillary Clinton goes before Congress. Nothing happens to her. You bring in Podesta, you bring in all these other people. Whatever happened to I'm trying to think of what her other attorney's name is. The guy that was privy and held the memory card for the longest time. They couldn't get a hold of her. The thumb drive that had information on it. Blumenthal. Blumenthal. All these people. Nothing happens to them. Nothing. And which is going to be very, very telling if they go after President Trump, and so Mueller is looking, or just has convened a grand jury. Now, the reason he's doing that is because he wants to get subpoenas for stuff. So they're going to show the grand jury a certain amount of evidence, and then the grand jury will issue subpoenas. And the grand jury is like it's a jury, but it's just look it up. You'll see the reality of what a grand jury actually is. They say that you can indict a ham sandwich with a grand jury. And the fact is, when you convene a grand jury, you're not saying somebody's guilty. They're trying to convene this grand jury so they can put evidence in front of them and they can get a subpoena for it. It's probably one of the easier ways, I guess, to get a subpoena. And so it's going to be very telling because Trump is not a part of these establishment groups in the Republican or Democratic parties. And it's going to be very interesting if he goes in there and then they start going after Trump as though he's been in office, and they're just going to start hammering him for all these things. And if they really do start going after him, when all the time they refuse to go after the Clintons for things that were so blatantly criminal. Listen, the servers alone should be enough to where all these people who had access and knew that the Clintons had these servers, which would include Susan Rice, President Obama, all these other people. They knew that President Clinton had these servers. Anybody that knew and didn't go and turn them in, they should lose their security clearance. And Hillary Clinton and all the rest of the group that was involved in that should go to jail. And I can't understand for the life of me, except for the fact that these people belong to some kind of group where they protect each other and watch over each other and promote and re-promote each other. It's as if these people just never go away. Look at Comey, look at Mueller, and look at Christopher Wray now as head of the FBI. All of those people have cycled back and forth in and out of the DOJ at different levels at different times, and then they ended up, in charge of the FBI when they have never been investigators. It's I don't know. There's some strange stuff going on. And McMaster, what I was getting at with Sean Hannity is he went after McMaster today, and I totally agree with him, and I think McMaster should be fired. Listen, we got to get ready for more of these firings and I really do hope that President Trump does this. He has to realize that, and I said this, I don't know if I said it in a poetic way today. I said, this is, I know Sean's good friends with the president, not that the president would be listening, but I said, I know that the president is somebody who likes shiny things and big things, and he's a kind of an over-the-top guy, but these generals are not expensive trinkets. They are dangerous individuals that play the political game better than just about anybody. And he really needs to. Okay, he brought these people in. He got stuff structured. I would start systematically firing these people because they're all identifying themselves. They're all identifying themselves as people who are actually involved in this stuff. I mean, McMaster and Susan Rice is a perfect example. And it's a perfect opportunity for the president to say, whoa, I don't know what you're doing, but first of all, you're not confronting Islam the way that, and the problems we're having with Islam, the way that I as the president and the leader of this administration, wants to confront it. That's one strike. Secondly, you're giving clearances back to people who have unmasked individuals, people who've had have knowledge that the Clintons were doing illegal behavior. How can I trust you, McMaster, when you're firing good people who are trying to warn me? Get out of here. Get the F out of here. That's what I'd say to McMaster. Get him out. And then I would go find some people, not KT McFarland, not people from Fox News. I would go and seek out people who have real national security experience, people that weren't generals, people that were workers in national security, that are field workers that understand it, whether they be FBI agents or CIA operations officers or Army or Navy or Marine Corps intelligence, all these different groups. That is who he should be looking at. And if that word gets back to him, I hope he doesn't take offense to it. I know that he likes nice stuff, but generals are not the bigger, better, more expensive thing. They're not. He even said it himself, President Trump, when he was in the campaign, when he said he knew more than the generals. Now, that's one thing that liberals always bring up. These people on LinkedIn, that I'm just continuing this conversation with these people. I'm sitting back. They've gotten furious and they've insulted me and stuff, and I just keep coming back with the same thing. They have nothing to back up their argument. But anyway, one of the things that I love to point out is, you must be insane, or you must be a dunce, one guy called me, if you think that if you agree with a man that said he knows more than the generals. Well, let's look at that. Let's think about that. The fact is, any American citizen that says we're not fighting the war on terror properly, and this is fundamental Islam, and this is the same Islam that Thomas Jefferson warned us about, that were a problem during the Barbary Wars, that were a problem in the Philippines, that were a problem all the way back, in the Thomas Jefferson days when the country started. It's the same Islam that was practiced 1,400 years ago by Muhammad himself. And look, if you're saying that, and you're saying, why don't we have a strategic plan? Why are we not securing our borders? Why are we not hammering people who are committing national security crimes and espionage that are American citizens? If you're asking yourself that, and you're saying, how do we get a hold of this? You are already a step ahead of the majority of generals. And so my argument with the people is that when they come back at me and say, you must be a dunce if you believe a man that says he knows more than the generals, I'm not saying just President Trump knows more. I'm saying the American people, by and large, know more than these generals do. I know that's shocking to hear a guy who was a SEAL say that, but I think the reality is there's an admiral that somebody I know, their neighbor is an admiral. The way this guy became an admiral is that he figured out when the GPS first came around how to get that in and as part of the military, and he rode that program straight into the position of admiral, and now he is one of these, or was, I think he retired, one of these bigwigs in the DOD is an admiral. The majority of these people that are on the Joint Chiefs of Staff and who were advisors in some way, shape, or form to the president, they're not operators. These are people who, quickly went through the ranks and got to flag level, and they just are admin people more or not. They're not warfighters, and they're politicians. So it's actually pretty true that the majority of people, based on the fact that we have social media, we have the ability to research stuff. I know more people than I know generals that are saying, what are we doing in Syria? Why are we in Syria? Why aren't we forcing these other countries to take these refugees? Why are we bearing that burden when these are people that are not going to coexist with the American way of life? So when Americans and people say these things, they are literally going further outside the box than generals. Yes, Annie, you can listen while you drive. So, one thing real quick, folks, we got great numbers tonight compared to last night. Even over here on YouTube, the numbers are up. So why don't everybody that's watching this show right now, we're going to continue this dialogue. If you could do this for me. If you're on Facebook, make sure you share it. If you're on Twitter, make sure you're retweeting it. And if you're on YouTube, I don't know what you do with YouTube, if you share it or whatever, but subscribe to my page. Now, all of you can, go back and forth. If you're on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and follow me, subscribe to my page on YouTube, and vice versa across the board. And let's get these numbers up all over the place. Because here's one of the things I keep coming across the more and more every day. It's stuff that we talk about. And we had Mary Catherine Ham on the David Webb show today, and she was talking about it's actually a 2-year-old book, but they've redone it now. It was a hardcover, now it's a softcover, and it's called, let me think of what it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but basically what the book is about is the same thing that Yuri Brezhnev was talking about, but not on a grand scale like Yuri was talking. It really talks about media and the way that media is manipulated to create these narratives, and how people will then go and create what is truth in their mind when it's really not truth. It's not reality. And I'm seeing this more and more to the point where talk radio is even starting to get affected by this. Talk radio has kind of been that one last place where you can get out of it. But the social media programs that we've been talking about all week are ripe with these trolls. And it's gotten to the point where people just don't know what to believe. And so they're sold on the fact that these generals know more, that, oh my gosh, Christopher Wray, he was a bigwig in the DOJ, and then he went and was Chris Christie's attorney in Bridgegate. He's fully qualified to be the head of the FBI, but he's not. He's not fully qualified to be head of the FBI. And in fact, I think that the FBI should cease and desist and should come up with a policy not to hire DOJ attorneys as their director. I think that when they do that, they are politicizing the FBI. Yes, this show is free. You do not have to pay for this show. We do have a GoFundMe page. It's right here below me. GoFund.me/The Experts Roadshow, and your donations are very helpful in keeping this show going. And then also when I do go on these trips and funding that. Jeff was telling the joke. That's what that was. So let's see here. The other thing I was wanting to talk about tonight is the fact that, you know what, let's go to the A block and we'll talk about it. I like to split it up a little bit. Let's make it kind of fun. Let's go to the A block. So one of the things I'm going to start doing this show, I say I'm going to do it. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I'm going to try to start doing interviews on the street when I meet people, and it's not going to be anything fancy. Hopefully, I'll just do it with my phone. I've met several people over the past couple of weeks, and I've kind of come up with this idea, and so what I want to do is I meet different people on the streets of New York, and the majority of them are liberal. So I want to start interviewing them, and not really go into politics, but the other night I met somebody who was in radio before, an incredible woman, super liberal, but does believe that Trump is serving a purpose in blocking all the organized crime and the communism. She even believes that there's communism up there, which many liberals have a hard time believing that in Washington, D.C. I would love to interview her and talk about her career and things that she's done, and I think it'd be interesting for us to so somebody here is saying the grand jury was evident with Mueller in charge. I don't know what that phrase means, what you're trying to say there. Anyway, so tonight, after I took Rico to the vet, and I'll get the results back from his blood and all that stuff, blood work tomorrow, and then I'll let you all know about that. I'm going to keep you updated on that. But I was walking out, and in New York is funny. You stand at the sidewalk and you say hello to people and you have a conversation. So I met there were two women that were there, and they are both Broadway dancers. Now, I've never been to a Broadway show, but I'd love to. And for most people that have never been to New York, I think hearing somebody interview Broadway dancers about the reality of what that scene is all about, that's one of the things I want to do to try to get not away from politics, but actually give some more stuff in there, because just like everything else, Broadway is not what everybody thinks it's all about. And it doesn't matter if I interviewed my friend who was an F-18 pilot and would tell you, yeah, it was amazing, but the Navy sucks the fun out of everything. I could talk to all these different people and do little segments just with my phone and air those. And I think I may start doing that as I meet people, ask them if I can interview them. And I think it'd be a great way for people to understand the reality of life and how you read books, you see movies, and you think, wow, that must be an incredible career. And then you talk to people and they're like, this is crazy. This is it's damaging my bones, and this is much more aggressive, and there's nasty people in the background. I think the more people see how true life is, then they're going to be they're gonna realize that I'll interview you anytime, Remo. But I think that people will start to see that when they turn the TV on or turn the radio on, they're going to be like, I don't know if they're telling us everything. And I think that's the biggest problem here, folks, is that we live in a world where the smarter our phones get and our computers get, the dumber we get, because we get inundated with stuff that is more and more opinionated and more slanted further and further away from the truth. So I think this is I think that we might be onto something here if I can start to do these interviews from time to time when I meet people. But overall, I think no, I did not see the transcript from Trump's call. I don't know which call that is. Hold on a second here. Somebody's saying, if you don't think the GOP and Dems are in cahoots and to hurt Trump, you haven't been paying attention. I totally agree with you. Yeah, so somebody said, look at the imagery behind me. Yes, that's correct. The American flag, my friends. Is there something wrong with that? Somebody said the imagery behind me. Is there something wrong with the imagery behind me? That I'm patriotic and I love my country? Is there something wrong with that? Let's wait on that. I got to take a sip of coffee. All right, here we go. We are going to block that person. I think I just blocked the right person. I hope I didn't block the wrong person. With Twitter, this is my big fingers. This is always challenged to see if I get the right person. Yeah, there are lots of trolls now. You know, it's interesting because a lot of times when I'm on Hannity's show or different things, these people they'll pop up, especially on Twitter. I blocked the wrong person. Dang it. All right, I'll have to fix. Let's see here. I don't know how to unblock them. All right, hold on, folks. Let me see this here. My big fat finger. Tell them to hold on. I'll unblock them. I got to go over to Periscope. Let's see here. This is live. This is transparency, folks. But I can't, listen, I cannot allow one of my own to be blocked. And when I didn't mean to do that. So let me see if I can find them here. Stand by. I don't know how I do this. Doop, doop, doop. Hold on. Stand by. I'm coming to get you. Just hold on. You just got to find that where they don't make it easy blocked. There it is. Okay. That was Cowgirl. Okay, Cowgirl, you are going to get unblocked. Unblocked. There you go. Welcome back, Cowgirl. All right. Sorry about that. Now I got to figure out the dirt bag that I need to actually block. You got it. She can join back. But now I got to figure out who to block, who that was. Bing Cupid. That's who I'm blocking, Remo? What a name. Yeah, I have a conscience, Lori. iHeart, there's another one. Okay. Let's see if they come back up. And then I'll block them while they stare at my background. Block iHeartRadio. Obviously, that's not the iHeartRadio. All right, I'm not going to wait all night for these idiots. iHearth. You know, I haven't done this in a long time. We got to start taking some more calls again, by the way. Did you all get to hear the back and forth with Stephen Mueller and CNN reporter? What's his name here? My brain is all over the place. I didn't get much sleep last night because I typically, when I'm writing and editing, I stay up all night because that's just when I work best. And then I go to sleep at about 6 o'clock, Acosta, and that's his guy's name. And then I get up around 11 o'clock, start writing again if I can, and start planning this show. And so having to be at David Webb's show this morning at 7:30 was like being there in the middle of the night for me. That's just, it was tough. So did you all get to see that with Stephen Mueller and Jim Acosta? I'm going to play that for you guys in case you didn't get to hear it. And what I want you to realize, I was having this debate with Rick Unger today on the Sean Hannity radio show, is that Jim Acosta, they try to have these different press conferences so that there's transparency and so they can explain the bills and things like that. But people like Jim Acosta come in there and they can't, they come in there and they disrupt everything by turning it into a circus. And I think Jim Acosta should be kicked out of the White House press corps. I don't think I think Stephen Mueller did a great job of slaying him with his verbal sword. But I don't know about you all, but I'm tired of the Jerry Springer show that's going on inside of the White House press briefing. I don't think that the press corps should even be in there to begin with. So I think they should show them right out the door, and they can stand outside and shout questions if they want. The other thing is, I don't understand why with social media, like what I'm doing right here, why do we even need the media to be in the White House? I mean, I do this show every day right now. You know, by the end of this show, I'll have reached thousands of people. You don't think if Donald Trump did this, that he could basically bypass all of the media, just have this, and if people want to tune in, they can? I know they did just, what about freedom of the press? Freedom of the press doesn't mean that that they should be in the White House, if that's what you're saying. There's nothing in the Constitution that says there's nothing in the Constitution about media, period. And there's nothing in the Constitution that says media needs to be in the White House. Freedom of the press, really what it means is freedom to disseminate information. So you have freedom of speech, freedom to say it, and freedom of the press, freedom to disseminate that information and mass produce it if necessary. That's what that has to do with. It has nothing to do with journalism or mass media or any of those people. It has nothing to do with that. That is a modern day propaganda tool, and I don't know what. That's like asking a jihadist to come to church with you every Sunday. I don't know why they're in the White House. It doesn't make any sense. They shouldn't be. All right, I'm going to find this this recording of Mueller. Stand by there. All right, hold on. We'll pull that video up here.
Not why I'm here today, but I think if I remember what you said correctly, I'll say it again, the President has confidence in all of his cabinet and expects them to perform their duties honorably and fully on behalf of the American people. But since the last question is not on the subject at hand, I will take one actual last question on the subject at hand. So I will take, yes.
What you're proposing, or what the President is proposing here, does not sound like it's in keeping with American tradition when it comes to immigration. The Statue of Liberty says, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. It doesn't say anything about speaking English or being able to be a computer programmer. Aren't you trying to change what it means to be an immigrant coming into this country if you're telling them you have to speak English? Can't people learn how to speak English when they get here?
Well, first of all, right now, it's a requirement that to be naturalized, you have to speak English. So the notion that speaking English wouldn't be a part of our immigration systems would be actually very ahistorical. Secondly, I don't want to get off into a whole thing about history here, but the Statue of Liberty is a symbol of liberty enlightening the world. It's a symbol of American liberty lighting the world.
Okay, one thing that he doesn't say here that I wish he would is that our country was not founded on with the Statue of Liberty as an official document spelling out who and why we will allow in this country. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from France, and that's all it was, as a representation of whatever, of immigration and life and liberty and freedom. But it's not an official document that the Statue of Liberty is holding. This idiot Jim Acosta, how do these people stay? Listen, here's what I'm going to do, folks, and I'm going to get back to this. CNN is literally, right down the road from where I live. Fox News isn't far away from there. CNN and MSNBC, they're not far away. In Atlanta, you should know where the offices are down there. Here's what I propose, folks. I propose that we do a couple things. Now, I don't know how to do this, so if somebody knows how to do one of these where we all sign up and sign a petition and start a petition to get the White House press corps out of the White House, and where they don't follow the president around. They don't fly an Air Force One. If they want to show up somewhere and cover something, that they can do that. I don't think that they should be involved or inside anything that is governmental. They shouldn't be on government planes. They shouldn't be in a government building, period. So we can't trust them. They've already proven that they print hearsay, that they don't back up their facts. And every media outlet has done this in one way, shape, or form, where they reported stuff that they shouldn't have. And so I think what we should do is we should start a petition to get media kicked out of the White House. Secondly, I think everybody should know what the addresses are for CNN and MSNBC, and I'll even say Fox News at this point, because Fox News is 2 steps outside the door of MSNBC now. And really, Sean Hannity's one of the only conservative people left on there. If you think that the people on there are conservative, you're kidding yourself. They're not. So the Murdoch brothers, they have something up, and I'm not exactly sure what it is, but they're doing something with Fox News, and they're basically either destroying it or changing it to a liberal station. So here's what I propose. We get a petition where we, because this is what I was trying to get to yesterday. I don't know if I fully did this. We get a petition to get the press corps kicked out of the White House and basically disbanded, where they're not recognized by the White House anymore, not allowed in there, nothing, because these are private companies. They're not. There's nothing official about them. They shouldn't be in our White House. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I would like to see people start to organize protests against these networks. I think CNN is right down here. It's on a main road on 58th Street and Broadway in the Time Warner building. The front office is right there. There's only one entrance. They closed down the back entrance where they used to be able to enter through the mall. So there's only a front entrance that goes in. So Jeff Zucker, Don Lemon, this knucklehead, if he comes to Scudo, if he comes to New York, Brian Stelter, all of them enter right through the front entrance. All their crazy communist guests enter right through the front. I've been there many times. I was a contributor there for a year. And I say that, and the same thing with MSNBC, which is a little bit more difficult because there's several different ways to enter into NBC. But I think people should start organized protests to go down there and stand in front of these things. If you're going to come to New York, this would be a great thing. Let's say people who watch this show have a family that's going to come visit New York. Let us know that you're going to visit New York, because if there is 5 other families that watch this show are going to come to New York, well, you all, part of what you could do is come here. We could all sit down on the sidewalk, take magic markers, make some signs, and then just go stand around outside of or we don't even have to make signs like those other idiots do. We just go stand in front of CNN, and when one of these people like Jeff Zucker walks out, just start asking him, when are you going to stop lying? When is the lying going to stop? What are you going to say next? What are you going to make up next? I mean, that's the pressure that we can actually facilitate. These people are not protected by Congress, like the Capitol Police. They have no access or no legal access to protection. Not saying that anybody should go do anything wrong, but I think we should start standing there and asking them questions out loud, film it, do whatever you can to get up there. And so if there's 5 families coming here to New York, or 10 families, and you all participate in this show, let us know, and we could have 10, 25 people out there waiting for one of these people to show up. And I think that would be an awesome way to put pressure on these people. But by and large, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and all these print papers like the New York Times and so on and so forth, these are people that we can actually go after these people. You're not going to really get to you're not going to get to congressman. You're not going to get to senator unless you guys get a huge protest. So I think what they did this past Saturday in where I spoke at that rally for America in Washington, D.C., I think if that same energy and that same amount of people were standing in front of CNN for a week, it would freak them out, because they're not used to that. They've never had it. They've never had that type of heat. So we need to start thinking about how to do that, and we also need to start petitioning to get the White House press corps kicked out of the White House. So who's this Agent Zero person? And Russian agent. Man, there's a lot of trolls on here tonight on Twitter. All right. See, that's what I love about Facebook. Well, I don't love a lot about Facebook, but my friends on Facebook, yeah, he's gone. Hold on here. Let me see who else we got. That iHearth radio or whatever, that person ever come back? I thought it was you, Agent Zero. I thought you were the one that was saying all that stuff, but now I realize it wasn't you. Yeah, well, bring it, trolls. Listen, am I lying? It's entertaining to go back and forth with these trolls. I'm telling you, folks, here's some other things that we got to start doing, all right? Let's start planning this stuff out. When you go on LinkedIn, like I've been doing, or you go on Twitter, or you go on and you see one of these idiots like, I don't know, Rosie O'Donnell or somebody like that who's saying all this stuff. Ben Rhodes, who now is being investigated, is another knucklehead nobody from the Obama administration. All he has to do is say, all he can tweet is stuff that's anti-Trump. So we need to start looking at these people. And I've done this on Facebook to people that I know. For instance, I'm not going to say her name, but a lovely girl. Met her when she worked at Fox. And then she's not at Fox anymore. She got out and went to college and did some stuff. And she just was always putting stuff about any video that came out that said or showed that cop was brutalizing somebody. And normally these videos are not full thought out, or this full story is not given. Well, she would post these stories, and it ticked me off because this is a person who's a patriotic individual, and I let her know exactly the reality of what she's doing by spreading this propaganda. You all should start doing. You know what? For the month of August, let's make this commitment to each other. Okay, first and foremost, Here's what we're going to do. This is all coming to me right now as I'm thinking, okay, folks? I don't make this stuff up. So this is coming to me. So just stop your tweeting and all this stuff for a second. Just listen to me. I want somebody out there who knows how to do petitions to start get a petition going. I will help you with that. But I don't know how to do that. Never done it. So if you know it, direct message me either on Twitter or on Facebook. And let's get a petition going to get the White House press corps kicked out of the White House. I think there's tons of evidence of why they should not be in there. That's the first thing. Second thing, if you're coming to New York City, see if you can organize people that are coming here and go out there and stand in front of CNN and MSNBC with your cell phones and start trying to get these people on camera and getting them to get frustrated and see if they'll say something. That's the second thing. The third thing is, for the month of August, this is what I want to do. Okay, I'm driving this home all the time. It's not all about money, but let's start another pledge drive so that I can get back out on the road. I got to do some maintenance on the truck and get everything prepared. So Rico and I, hopefully he'll be feeling better. He actually is feeling better right now. We'll get back out on the road. We'll go to Texas. I've been talking about this for a while. The editing's almost done. So the GoFundMe page is coming up right here. Everybody go and donate $10, $20. Tell other people about this show. Somebody just said a minute ago that it's the first time watching it and they love the interaction. So tell them about it. Bring them on here. Get them to go to the GoFundMe page. Donate some money so we can get this thing out on the road again. And here's what I want everybody to do on the personal level, okay? I think earlier there was like 200 people watching this show. We need to go after the trolls hard and heavy. These are things that we can start doing ourselves, and it's great practice for unity. So here's what we'll do. If somebody is putting out stuff that's against President Trump or saying some nonsense about conservatives or something like that, direct message me, take a screenshot of it, send it to me. I will retweet it or put it on Facebook, and then let's go after them. Like on LinkedIn, I've been going back and forth with these two people all week, and it's hilarious because they are Nazis, these two individuals, and it's actually three individuals. But they do this a lot on LinkedIn, which I think is very inappropriate. But I'm just continuously hounding these two people and continuously saying, where's your proof? Show us your proof. Come on the show. I'll let you talk. You'll have to tell us how you know this stuff. They won't do it. Now imagine if you had 100 people on that. You would shut down every single movement that these trolls are trying to do. For the month of August, let's do that, folks. Let's take a couple minutes out of your day. When you see something, screenshot it, send it to me. And if I tweet it out or put it on Facebook, let's go after them. And I don't want to just see, you know, the same 5 people every time helping out. Let's get 50, 100 people out there and start going after them. I'm telling you, folks, I'm telling you, if you want to be unified, you have to practice working together. And if you do this, you're going to start thinking, there it is. We're not worried about you, iHearth. You're getting blocked. I got him. I feel like I just picked a tick off my dog and squished it. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Yeah, I got him. So let's try to do that. They were crying, say not fair. That's right. You know what? And let's make it as unfair as possible. And I'll even try to see if I can get anybody, and not saying anything I can, but I'm one of those people when somebody calls me and says, hey, can you help out? I say, yeah. And then when I call on them, I'm talking about celebrities or people, I'll say, can you help me out? And they're never around. They never respond. So I think we should do this. I think we're on to something here. All right, let's finish with this video, which I started and never finished. I didn't mean to stop this, but this is where the verbal slayer of CNN, Stephen Mueller, comes out. And I've never met Stephen Mueller. He could potentially be, if he could be the biggest jerk in the world. I don't know, but man, I've never seen anybody handle a debate or handle a press conference like this young man does. It's pretty phenomenal. So yeah, it's Mueller time. But I'm telling you, he looks a lot like that one actor. I can't remember what his name was. Michael Ironside. He looks like Michael Ironside, the guy that played in Top Gun, Jester. He played Jester. Anyway, go ahead. Let's do it.
That you're referring to that was added later is not actually part of the original Statue of Liberty, but more fundamentally, the history. But more fundamentally,
you're saying
the
that
history,
that does not represent.
I'm saying that.
What
I'm
the
saying that
country
the
has always
notion.
thought of
I'm saying the
as
notion that
immigration coming into this
I'm saying the
country?
notion.
I'm sorry.
No,
that sounds
Jim,
like.
let me ask you a question.
That sounds like some National Park revisionism.
No,
The
what I'm asking you is,
Statue of Liberty
Jim,
has always
Jim,
been
let me
a
ask you a
beacon of
question.
hope to the world
Jim,
for people to send
Jim, do you
their
believe,
people to this country.
Jim,
and they're not always going to speak
Jim,
English, Stephen.
Jim,
They're not
do you
always
believe,
going to be highly skilled. They're not always
Jim,
going to be
Jim,
so many
Jim, I appreciate your speech. Jim, I appreciate your speech. So let's talk about this.
It was a modest
Jim, let's talk about this. In 1970, when we let in 300,000 people a year, was that violating or not violating the Statue of Liberty law of the land? In the 1990s, when it was 500,000 a year, was it violating or not violating the Statue of Liberty law of the land?
Was it violating?
When it was 700,000 a year. No, tell me what years. Tell me what years. Tell me what years meet. Tell me what years meet Jim Acosta's definition of the Statue of Liberty, poem law of the land. So you're saying 1 million a year.
And remember, folks, this law of liberty is not a true law. This is just something that's scribbled on which he said was added later on the pamphlet that the Statue of Liberty is holding.
Is the Statue of Liberty number 900,000 violates it? 800,000 violates it?
You're sort of bringing a
Jim.
press one for English philosophy here to
Jim.
immigration, and that's never
For
been
Jim.
what the United States has been about, Steve.
But you're also your statement's also shockingly ahistorical in another respect too, which is if you look at the history of immigration, it's actually ebbed and flowed. We've had periods of very large waves, followed by periods of less immigration and more immigration, and during we've had
a period of immigration right now. The
Yeah,
president wants to build a wall.
actually-
and you want
it's
to
actually-
bring about a sweeping change to the
Surely,
immigration
Jim, you don't actually think that a wall affects green card policy. You couldn't possibly believe that, do you? Actually, the notion that you actually think immigration is at a historic law, the foreign-born population of the United States.
Somebody said today that this was a very well-rehearsed defense by Stephen Mueller, but, listen, something. I'm going to answer your question here in just a minute about Trey Gowdy, but let me finish with this. I don't know if this is rehearsed or not, but the responses he is having are absolutely crushing Jim Acosta. And the fact is exactly what he just said. Does Jim Acosta believe that building a wall has anything to do with green cards? That's how, I don't know if it's stupid or that's how nefarious their agendas are, that they'll ask questions like that, probably full well knowing it has nothing to do with green cards.
Today, Jim.
Talking about
Jim, come on, Jim.
Do you really, I want to be serious, Jim, do you really at CNN not know the difference between green card policy and illegal immigration? Are you really don't know that?
this country in 1962, right before the Cuban Missile Crisis, and obtained a green card. Yes, people who immigrate to this country can eventually. People who immigrate to this country not through Ellis Island,
as a factual question,
in other ways, do obtain a green card at some point. They do it through a lot of hard work. And yes, they may learn English as a second language later on in life.
So, but
this whole notion of, well, they could learn, they have to learn English before they get to the United States. Are we just going to bring in people from Great Britain and Australia?
Jim, I have to honestly say, I am shocked at your statement that you think that only people from Great Britain and Australia would know English. It reveals your cosmopolitan bias to a shocking degree that in your mind, no, this is an amazing moment. This is an amazing moment that you think only people from Great Britain or Australia would speak English is so insulting to millions of hardworking immigrants who do speak English from all over the world. Jim, have you honestly never met an immigrant from another country who speaks English outside of Great Britain and Australia? Is that your personal experience?
Of course, there are people who come.
But that's not what you said, and it shows your cosmopolitan bias. And I just want to say,
it sounds like you're trying to engineer the racial and ethnic flow of people into this country.
Jim, that is one of the most outrageous, insulting, ignorant, and foolish things you've ever said. And for you, that's still a really the notion that you think that this is a racist bill is so wrong and so insulting. Jim, the reality is that the foreign-born population into our country has quadrupled since 1970. That's a fact. It's been mostly driven by green card policy. Now, this bill allows for immediate nuclear family members to come into the country, much as they would today, and then it adds an additional points-based system. The people who've been hurt the most, the people who've been hurt the most by the policy you're advocating are apparently just unfettered, uncontrolled migration. The people who've been hurt the most by the policy. The people who've been hurt the most by the policy that you're. The people who've been hurt the most by the policy you're advocating are immigrant workers and minority workers and African American workers and Hispanic workers.
And the African American community. Now you brought it up again. You said you wanted to have a conversation and not target. Is it going to be a target?
This is what we want to do.
Using the African American community, are you going to target? I'm not trying to be funny. But
right, I know what you're saying. What you're saying is 100% correct. We want to help unemployed African Americans in this country and unemployed workers of all backgrounds get jobs. And insinuations like Jim made, trying to ascribe nefarious motives to a compassionate immigration measure designed to help newcomers and current arrivals alike, is wrong.
All right, let me turn this mic down. Yeah, I think, listen, one thing that also bothers me about that is that, man, he is like Conan the Barbarian of the press conferences. It's unbelievable. I keep waiting for Sarah Huckabee Sanders to come out there and break Jim Acosta's kneecaps because she's like the Tony Soprano of the press secretaries. They work, Thug Life. They should have one of those Thug Life things for him. But they work great together. And as I said today on Sean Hannity's radio show, I don't think they need to go any further in trying to find White House communication director and press secretary. I think that could be a combined job for Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Mueller together. My gosh, they would freaking rule. Except, let's just get these people out. Let's just get them out of the White House. That would be even better. So, I mean, I love these guys, and I think they do great, but I'd rather just see them out on the outside. And they could go stand up by the fence, and they could holler questions over the fence. That would be the best way to do it. That presser was, I believe that was yesterday, if I'm not wrong. I think it was yesterday. But what bothered me about this, though, is the continued language of we're doing this to help certain races. Listen, poverty knows no race. I grew up poor. And I think we've gotten to a point now in this country where we need to stop with the affirmative action. We need to stop with the bias of we're going to do this to help migrants or to help people who have dark skin, brown skin, whatever. Here's the reality. If you're poor and there's jobs to be had, and companies and the government should be working to get those people in the inner city out there to work. Color should have nothing to do with it. We need to get race completely out of our system where the government is colorblind. The government does not need to recognize race. It really doesn't need to be recognizing gender either, except I think in the case of military and law enforcement. But I think we are, and Remo's right, selective outrage is killing our country. We need to realize that all peoples are free here, and it's time for us to move past government recognition of race, and we need to start giving all people equal opportunity, which they do have, and giving everybody an equal step up if they need it, period. Somebody asked me a question about Trey Gowdy a minute ago. What do I think about Trey Gowdy? Listen, I know people disagree with me on this. I think maybe it's because I harbor a little bit of aggression towards Trey Gowdy because he came on Fox and insulted me after I condemned Congressman Chavez because of the whole Clinton stuff. I went on Greta Van Susteren show when it used to be on Fox, and I said, why do they keep doing this stuff in open? Why don't they go behind closed doors, find out the information, and start an investigation? And I said, Chavez was grandstanding or whatever, and Trey Gowdy came on the next day and kind of insulted me. The funny thing is, though, I go out every single day, and I'm trying my hardest to unify this country on my own dime. And I think, by and large, what we have done through this show alone over the past year has probably unified more people than Trey Gowdy has. And what Trey Gowdy and the rest of them did with the Hillary Clinton hearings, I just have to tell you, folks, I think that Trey Gowdy and the rest of them should have been fired after those hearings. I think that they did America a great deal of damage by not getting rid of these people and convicting them when they had the chance. And I think that Trey Gowdy has done nothing for me to sit back and go, wow. That right there, what Stephen Mueller just did, is a wow moment. Trey Gowdy says a lot of stuff. I used to say about Marco Rubio and Jason Chavez. I remember that one time, I think it was Chavez was like, yeah, I've got this subpoena right here for the FBI, and we're gonna serve the FBI. And I remember I did a show on it. And I said, there's going to be nothing come out of this, and nothing did. It was just a soundbite. That's the way these people live. They live in sound bites, folks. And I think Trey Gowdy has the potential to be a great leader, but Trey Gowdy is just another Washington, D.C. insider. I hate to say it. What else we got? Thank you, Heather. She says, I'm walking the walk right now that many are afraid to do. Look, I have been put on the do not book list at Fox News because I spoke out against Rob O'Neill, which, I'm glad that I did it. I wish I'd have done it a little bit differently, to tell you the truth. I think Rob is a product of the fact that rules weren't being enforced, and I think Rob is successful now, and whether I agree with what he did then, I wish Rob O'Neill all the success in the world. I think he's doing a great job. I wish we could get past the whole Bin Laden thing because it's getting a little bit obnoxious. But his career alone, they should just make a movie about his career and go on with it. But I got put on a do not book list at Fox News by their publicist. I was told by their publicist, Irina Brigante, because I came out on Megyn Kelly on her show and pretty much slammed Rob O'Neill and Admiral Losey. And I don't regret that at all. But so they put me on a do not book list. I go over to CNN and start working there. I've played that many times for you all to hear when I went off on Peter. I'm forgetting everybody's name tonight because I'm tired. Their big head terrorism reporter guy. So I pretty much put him in his place, and that was the beginning of the end for me there. They employed me for a year, but only used me for 4 months because they couldn't handle the truth. And so, you know, I've been forced into this. It's kind of weird, but it reminds me a lot of when. Forgive me for my brain is all over the place tonight. I think, and those of you that are Bible scholars here, help me with this. Was it Joseph that was buried, not buried, but thrown into a hole by his brothers, and then he became the Pharaoh's right-hand man? Who was that? If you can tell me that. I can't believe I'm forgetting that story. But so in that story, that was Joseph. Okay, so no, it wasn't Moses. Moses was not thrown. It was Joseph. So he was thrown in a hole by his brothers because they were jealous because his father, you know, thought the world. He loved him to death. And so his brothers were jealous. They threw him in a hole. He ends up getting taken prisoner, becomes a slave, and then becomes the right-hand man to the Pharaoh. And basically it saved Egypt because he foresaw a drought coming and helped them prepare for that. And I feel in a lot of ways, I'm not putting myself on their level, so don't think I'm going all Glenn Beck on you. But I think in certain ways, you know, God works in mysterious ways, and you all should take a lesson from this. When you're climbing towards that pinnacle, and all of a sudden you're doing the right thing and you get condemned for it, and it pushes you into a realm of something else that's unknown like this, there'll be hard times. And you may feel goofy at times. I mean, look, I don't get paid for this show. You all pretty much fund this show. And every dime that I make doing radio and television and, well, I don't really make any money off TV but since CNN, but radio and doing all the other work that I do from time to time goes into this. And but it's a little awkward. I think people that family and friends have their confidence has waned a little bit because they're like, when are you going to get paid for this show? I don't think they see the reality of what's building here. But I think we're on to something. I think we are. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm building a platform for others to go off of, and I'm going to be the guy who ends up with nothing. I don't know. But regardless of that, I think we're on to something. And I think the voice is growing. So I will tell you this. I'm seeing a lot of people saying they heart this person or love that person from Fox News. You should be very careful who you heart and love. I put myself out here every single day. Transparency, you know, I am who I am. And but you need to be very careful and remember that just like psychologists can't predict who Donald Trump is by watching him on television, they say, well, I analyzed Donald Trump and he's a psychopath or a narcissist. Well, you know, they don't really know that because they're looking at the majority of the time he's been on TV. He's had a persona that he was playing. Just like psychologists can't give a real analysis of who he is. You have to be very careful in these people that you say, I love Trey Gowdy, I love Kimberly Guilfoyle, I love all these. You need to take a step back and realize that you don't know these people. I'm not saying anything about Kimberly, but somebody said that about Kimberly. I'm just using that as an example. You know, or Megyn Kelly, for instance. Somebody said something about Megyn Kelly earlier. You know, I have my feelings about Megyn Kelly, but it's interesting when you see these people behind the scenes. I'll put it to you that way. I'm not an Ann Coulter fan. I've been in the green room around her before, and I didn't like her there, and I don't like her now. I think she's a propagandist, and I think her and Ben Shapiro and people like Milo, I think those are people that are using conservatism and Tommy Lahren. They're actors, and that's their shtick. And I think that they use conservatism as a way to sell books and get speaking engagements. They know what to say. They say it fast, and they're snarky, and they're like cartoon characters. And I don't like that. I like real people, and I like conservatives that have served. Quite frankly, if you're going to be a voice to the people, I think you should have something behind you to say, well, yeah, I've bled for the country. When did Tommy Lahren or any of these other people bleed for America? Would she trip on the way to the studio and skinned her knee? I don't know. So let me take a drink of my coffee. All right. Apparently, Dave Robinson was telling me, and I was going to have Dave on tonight to talk about this, but it's already too late now, that the governor of West Virginia came out today and said that he is going to become a Republican. And so so I believe that's a pretty cool thing. We got some more trolls on here. Let's see here. Who else we got here before I... Okay, here you go. Let me block this person. Let's see here. What else we got? Jim Justice, yeah. He wasn't a Republican, evidently. Now he is a Republican, is what he's saying. You know, a lot of these states in places like West Virginia, you have people who are Republicans, but they can't get elected if they say that they're a Republican. So they go in as Democrat. And I don't know if that's Jim Justice or not, but I do know around this country there's a lot of people saying they're Republicans when they're really not. And one of the ways that you can police that is seeing what people's stance is on immigration and the Second Amendment. Let's see what else. How often do you get to jump the fence? My rate as I became a SEAL, I was an officer. So I went to officer candidate school and then I went to BUDS. That was my rate. Let's see what else. John McCain. He is a bunch of poopies, yes. What else we got over here? You were a corpsman. And now they're called medics. Were you a SEAL? BPD 6 something something? Poopy. Rhinos are worse than Democrats, I believe, because rhinos are people who take positions away from people who could be great leaders in the Republican Party, and they steal those. They're very dangerous. I didn't understand what you were just saying there. Whoever wrote that about they have one child who. I'm sorry I didn't get what you were trying to ask me there. You can retweet that. Let's see. All right. I think we will. So he's in the military now and he wants to get out on honorable discharge? Is that what you're asking me? I'm sorry, I'm just not clear on the question. You're your mother's only son and you want to get out of the military. Is that what you're asking me? You like the military. Gotcha. No, okay. You want to go in the military. Okay. You would serve? Then you should serve. I'm not sure what the question is. I'm sorry. It's hard to develop a conversation, full-blown conversation on these one-liners here. You got 140 characters for each one. I'm looking at you, Raymond. You guys are having conversations with yourself over on Facebook. I like that. Okay, so here's the thing. Let me answer this question, and then I'll pay more attention to Facebook. So somebody just asked me. They said they want to go in the military, but they don't want to get their butt shut off. Here's the facts. There's over 300,000 people every year killed on the roads in the United States. All right. Last year, in the military, in combat, there was less than, I know it was less than 130 because there was over 130 cops killed, and the number of deaths in the military in combat was minute compared to that. You'd stand more of a chance of getting killed being a cop or driving down the road over your lifespan, if that's what you wanted to do, than you would if you went into the military and went into even the most dangerous military unit. So, listen, we are the best at what we do. Despite all the social engineering, our military is stronger, more ferocious, deadly, and they destroy, when they're allowed to, destroy the enemy. And by and large, the majority of deaths that happen in combat really come down to planning mistakes, not the combat itself, because we're the masters in combat. But there's always going to be the fog of war. There's always going to be, like cops suffer all the time. They shoot a guy 15 times, the guy doesn't die. Meanwhile, the guy will be running, won't even look. He'll just turn around and shoot, and the bullet will travel right in the one area where the body armor doesn't cover and go straight to the heart of a cop and kill him. That's just the way things work, Honorable warriors will fall in battle because of the weirdest things at times. That's Murphy's Law, and Murphy is a terrible, terrible person to have with you in battle. So, do it. The military is one of the last places that people can actually become an adult anymore. You just go to college, you're going to be indoctrinated in the Communist Party more than anything. All right, let me come over here to Facebook real quick, and then I'm going to call it a night. Roxanne said it used to be they would be exempt from service if only the only son. Even if I was I'm my mom's only son. And Dad never even gave that a second thought. Listen, my life is my life, and the way I look at it, I love my mom and she's my rock, but I've got my life to live, and if my name dies with me, well, listen, it's gonna go out in a blazing, that's for sure. They're gonna say, remember that Gillum character? Man, that was some life that he lived. Yeah, he didn't have any kids, but he lived enough life for like 5 people. That's what I want people to see. I'm not trying to be a jerk or egotistical or not help procreate the country, but my job is to serve. That's what I've been called to do. So let's see what else. Spread the seed. Oh my goodness. All right. Yep, that's correct. You can't take care of everybody all the time. Got to find yours. You got to find your. You have to find. Let's see here. Hold on one. You have to find your way in life. Period. All right. I'm going to go to the truth zone. I know I've kind of rambled tonight, but I've been talking all day. I'm pretty much talked out. So let's go to the truth zone. And again, I can't thank you all enough for being a part of the show tonight. As always, don't forget about the GoFundMe page. Don't forget to share, tweet, and retweet. One thing you can do on Twitter, if you've been watching this, is you can tweet, you can retweet the show, and then, this is a secret I found. I'm going to share this secret with you all. After a couple hours, you go and unretweet it and then retweet it. And you can do that several times. I usually do it directly. I tweet this out, or the show's being tweeted out. I will retweet it as soon as the show's over with. I'll do it again about 12 o'clock because on the West Coast, 12, 11, 10, it's 9 o'clock there. So I'll retweet about 12 o'clock at night. And then when I get up the next day, I'll retweet it again. So you untweet it and retweet it, and that actually gets it stirring. On Facebook, you can do the same thing. You just reshare it throughout the day. And I know that clutters your page up, and you may not want to do that. Some people don't want their page cluttered, and I understand that. But and listen, by and large, folks, we have the ability to go out and recruit people to come and watch this show. So that's what we got to do. All right, so let's go to Truth Zone. And hold on one second here. You got it. And anybody ever has questions about the military or service, don't hesitate to ask. I'll answer it if I can. If I don't have the information, then you can. I'll go find it for you. But don't hesitate to direct message me if you don't want to ask it out here. I'm always here to help people who want to serve, if I can. Let's go to the truth zone. All right. I won't put it up too high because I know that bothers Becky. Becky! All right, here's the deal, folks. We'll close the night out tonight. I'm going to tell you tomorrow I'm going to do the show at 7 p.m., all right? I'm going to go have dinner with an incredible friend of mine who I've had on this show before. I did a special with him, Dr. Wally Grand. And I don't know where Maureen is tonight. That's a good question. But I will do the show tomorrow at 7 p.m. and we'll do the Friday Toast. So make sure that you tune in tomorrow. Tell all your friends about it. Friday show is always good. We'll try to do something funny. I'll have a couple people on. We'll make it fun. And then after that, I'm going to go meet up with Wally and his family and have some dinner with them and celebrate life as we always do when we're around the Grands. So here's what we're going to leave with today, folks. We are going to start moving forward on unifying. All right, we've been doing this show for a year now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start, somebody said they were going to, I don't know who that was, about getting with me offline about starting a petition to get the White House press corps thrown out of the White House. Never to be on any government planes, and never to be, which I'm astounded at, that they are in, they're put into the convoy with the protective detail for the president. Outrageous. That is outrageous. So we have to come together and get this petition going and get it pushed out. That's the first thing. Second thing, if you're coming to New York, make sure you go right down there, 58th Street and Broadway, between Broadway and 9th, I believe it is, 9th Avenue, and you'll see the Time Warner building, and CNN is right there. Get your family, get your friends, go out there, get your phones, and wait for these people to come out and ask them, when are you going to start telling the truth? Start hounding these people. Do it to the New York Times. Do it to your local paper if they print propaganda. We got to start pushing forward. Third, for the month of August, we are going to go after trolls together as a people. If you have somebody and you identify a troll, direct message me or tag everybody on a response, and let's get it together and start going after these people. This is good practice, folks. We have, this isn't the war necessarily, although this is like a little battle, but these are like training evolutions. And the more we do this together, the more we are going to be able to just slay these people like Stephen Mueller when it comes time. When it comes time for you to stand on your own or stand together. So let's go troll hunting. Thank you very much there, Abby. Let's go troll hunting for the month of August. I'm declaring it open season on trolls. I'm going to see if we can get some tags. And listen, there's no limit for you hunters. You can get as many of these trolls as you want. So that's what we're going to do. And then don't forget, donations to the GoFundMe page helps me get this show on the road. And we're going to get this going, folks. This is kind of interesting. I think we're on to something here. Remember, as always, I'm Jonathan Gillum. My incredible 17-year-old Jack Russell son, buddy, friend is down there asleep, old Rico. He had a nice long walk. This is The Experts. I'm Jonathan Gillum. And whenever I'm in the house, whenever I'm on the radio, whenever on the TV or in social media, you can guarantee one thing. I'm bringing my people with me, and the truth has arrived. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. right here. And I screwed it up again. Boom.
Hey, wait, Jonathan, this is Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I thought you said that I was going to get to come onto your show tonight. And, what the heck, man? Why didn't you have me on?
Well, Debbie, I can't have criminals on, and I don't like communists, and quite frankly, you always look tired. I think you need some sleep, Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Well, I am tired because I'm always, scheming against the United States and, putting lotion on my body and, all that kind of stuff like Buffalo Bill and the Silence of the Lambs. So, that and plus, hang out with those Awan brothers all the time. They're up late, those guys.
Well, that's why I don't have you on, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So, why don't you go on? You've already caused enough trouble. I had a little problem there. I tried to go in the truth zone twice. So, thanks, but no thanks, Debbie.
Fine. But don't forget to put the lotion on your body because it makes it smoother. I'm Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Hey, wait! Debbie Wasserman Schultz, wait up! This is Dennis Kucinich. I'll be right over. Hold on.
I don't want you following me anymore, Dennis Kucinich.
I got a bottle of lotion. Hold on.
No.